All right, here we have the Coreblade Transverse throws low to high. So just like the name implies, I'm going to throw those core blades up and across my body in a diagonal pattern, hence the transverse name. So with that load, you want to squat down into our half or quarter squat there. Start from the ground up, drive from the foot, legs, hips, and then from the torso. Get those arms long and relaxed, and we're going to throw over the shoulder. So a real key point of view on this one is from the side. So as you can see here, as I throw over, my right arm is actually reaching slightly behind me. That's where all the important core work actually gets done. So in this version, I'm keeping my feet planted. I'm not letting my hips rotate. So at the top of this movement here, when I'm decelerating that, hips are extended and core is nice and tight, so it's like a dynamic plank, right? So we're always thinking about keeping that belly button right over the hips, using primarily the front of the core to decelerate that throw to stop at a neutral pelvis. So one of the key points we really need to make sure that is in the movement is just like we talked about. As I'm throwing here, making sure my right arm actually reaches over my left shoulder. And as I'm throwing this way, my left arm reaches over my right shoulder. Okay, so once the load, the movement actually goes past your front midline, that's when we're actually challenging the core. A lot of times if people are not familiar with this type of movement, they'll stop before they get to that range, and at that point all you're really doing is a swing in the arms and not really challenging the core in all these essential motions. Alright, so like we've done with a lot of the core work with the core blades, now we're going to add in the hip rotation. So as you can see here, I'm letting both feet and both hips rotating my right foot and right hip to load it, and at the finish I'm adding in the hip and foot rotation on the left. So what we have when we add in those movements is we're going to involve the low back and the obliques are going to do a lot more work to decelerate that. And beyond that, we also have more power generation, right? More range of motion, and there's more potential power. And I mentioned it a few times, and I always feel like it's worth mentioning again, is when we have more of these big elastic moments in the movement, we have more flow. And when we have more flow, it keeps that metabolism pumping. So and working really hard. So I think I just did 10 per side on these movements, and I was pretty smoked just after doing 20 reps on these.